It's that time of year, the opportunity to give yourself the greatest gift, the gift of time. So let's get started.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a pathway to remembering and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello and welcome back, my strong, sensitive, spiritual souls. I am excited to be with you because we're talking about the greatest gift that you can give yourself today, and that is the gift of time. Now, I've got to admit to you that I can get caught in the holiday hustle bustle. I mean, we're talking the decorating, getting the tree set up, the gift buying, the parties, the making the cookies. And a part of me really loves it. This is the thing. I enjoy doing these things. I love making my house warm and cozy. But especially this year, when Thanksgiving came so late, it feels like it has all come up at once. And so today is about how do we give ourselves that gift of time when we're caught in all the to-do lists, and really remember that you giving yourself the time and space for silence, for nature, will actually support you to know how to balance all that's going on throughout the holidays with giving yourself the gift of remembering your spiritual essence. Now, again, I am not perfect at this, but I do feel that I am getting better at it. And I've made a commitment to myself to provide more of this time for myself daily. I start off my day and end my day really with reflection and providing space. But I've also found that I have to give myself more than that. But I know that what I can share with you may sound out there and woo-woo and all this, because I am coming from this spiritual frame. But I want to remind you that I've gotten my degree in clinical psychology, and I love to study the science behind all this. And I want to share with you the whole point of this podcast, I'm Perfectly Divine, is bringing you ancient wisdom with today's latest research and science to guide us on how we navigate being human and remembering our divinity. And I love this time of year because of the darkness. That darkness is calling us to go inward. That darkness is saying, cuddle in with yourself. And I also miss the daylight, right? I take walks every night, and I miss being out without a coat. I live in the Midwest, so I'm bundled, and it's dark. It's dark at 4:30. So I miss the light, but I've learned to embrace darkness and how we are being called within the darkness to go within, to provide ourselves with silence, and to give ourselves time with nature. There was this beautiful article for those of you who live in colder weather, the beauty in taking hikes during the winter, because there's no bugs there, and the special silence that you get to hear on winter hikes. It's almost like the silence is more pronounced and there's a beauty to that. So my invitation today is to remind you of the gift in taking time for yourself. This is also an invitation and reminder for myself, and to help us get our brains on board with this, so that I can share with you what is going on within our bodies as we provide this gift of time and silence and nature for ourselves, and how this is actually supporting you on so many different levels. So first, I want to discuss with you the neurology of what silence in nature gives to us and how it restores your cognitive functioning. And how perfect is this when your brain can feel like it's going a mile, a mile a minute, trying to remember everything on your Christmas to-do list, everything that you got to get done with work at the end of the year, or whatever else is on your mind, that we can give our brain rest. So by giving your brain rest and recovery through silence, through getting out in nature, and again, nature without headphones, without a phone, without technology, is where you're going to experience that restoration. It allows you to restore cognitive functioning so you can actually think and reduce your body's stress response. Continuous noise is the brain. It just activates your brain's stress response. This is why I have a niece and she has young children right now. And you can just sense the stress that she's experiencing sometimes, because she's constantly on demand and she's constantly dealing with the noisiness of young children. And silence, by contrast, allows the brain's default mode of really going into this default network of just of kind of closing in, of not having to be so outwardly focused, is linked to creativity, introspection, problem solving. And we're allowing that to activate when we're in silence. And let me tell you, when I'm an empty nester, my kids come back home, it's noisy. And so I need to say, spend that time with them. I love you. And I'm going to go for a walk by myself, or I'm going to take time to meditate. That is exactly when we need to give ourselves this, so that we can come back to a restful state within ourselves, to support mental clarity, to support feeling that sense of relaxation. Then we can come back into the noise and be playful with it and enjoy it more. When we also allow ourselves to be in nature and to hear the natural soundscapes, this is why we got to get off our phones, get out of that, take the headphones off. When we allow that, your amygdala, which gets activated by stress and fear, that activity is naturally going to lower. And so the less your amygdala gets activated, the less fear, the less stress you feel, and the more emotionally resilient you become. This is part of our toolkit to our emotional resilience. We need this nature, silence, activation for our brain. Now, I also want to touch upon the endocrine system, which is all that hormonal highway that's going on within our body, that's activating certain stress hormones or not, or the feel-good hormones, right? So immersing yourself in nature it's going to decrease your cortisol activation. We all know cortisol is the stress hormone, and that alone, less cortisol activation, is going to create that state of relaxation and improved resilience to future stress. So this is what we have to take in. We're not just giving ourselves something in the moment, which we are, right? We're allowing our brain to rest. We're allowing our stress hormones, to be less activated. But this also builds us so that we're more resilient, so that when the noise comes back, when the to-do list is there for us to face again, that we have the resilience to do it. And this is what we have to balance ourselves with as being both human and divine. When we go out in nature, when we go give ourselves silence, we're remembering our divinity. And then we say, okay, and I'm also human and I've got these things I got to do, or I've got these people that I love and I want to be with. It gives us the ability to be with them how we want to be with them. And so this is that whole sense of put on the oxygen mask first. Oxygen tank. Maybe we need a tank sometimes, but the oxygen mask first. This is what it means. We're going out in silence, going out in nature. This is what it means to do that for ourselves. So immerse yourself by nature and forest bathing. Some of you have heard about this. What is forest bathing? Because it has been, studies have shown this significantly reduces cortisol rates. This is just spending time with trees. I am a huge fan of this. I have a power tree. You're like, what's a power tree? It's a favorite tree that empowers you, that helps you remember that you are one with nature, that helps you remember we're all connected, that helps you remember we need each other. We need trees. And so when I was going through my deepest place of darkness a few years ago, I really connected with a tree. It was calling me to sit with it. And it became my place of solace, my place where I can just tune out and be. And it really became a friend. It became a friend that would listen to me when I would cry and feel overwhelmed, when I needed to just release and let things go. And it continues to be a place where I anchor into the earth to remember the oneness and how we are all interconnected, that we all have these cords of life that we can't see, but are like roots of a tree that receive nurturance from the earth. And that's what my power tree is to me. Maybe you have a favorite tree. Maybe it has different meaning for you, but you can just pick a tree that you hug, that you put your hands up against, you put your forehead against, you put your heart against, and you take in that nature has different realms of wisdom that, if we're willing to listen, that can connect with us. So my tree is in this area of the neighborhood, of my neighborhood, where others will see me hugging, putting my forehead against the tree. And one of my neighbors said, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just being with my tree, talking to my tree." And he jokingly said, "Oh, has it talked back to you yet?" And I said, "Well, not in the way that we talk to one another, but yeah, it talks back to me." And he was just kind of like laughing at me, like, "Okay, Michelle." But I do believe this tree has communicated with me through wisdom that I draw upon through taking the time to be with it. And again, whether it's just remembering that we are all part of nature, that all nature carries wisdom, that the wisdom of silence that nature offers as a gift to us is that when we honor this, how healing, how restorative it can be. And science, again, will back this up, that being in nature, being with a tree, being forest bathing, which again is just being with trees, boosts serotonin. It enhances our mood and oxytocin and strengthens feelings of connection, which will reduce feelings of loneliness. And when we're going through periods of darkness, I've really felt alone. And I didn't when I was connecting with a tree, because as weird as it sounds, there's sometimes things that you're going through that it feels like other humans just can't get, but it feels like nature or aspects of nature do, because we witness their death and rebirth cycles. And so there's something so beautiful to connecting to them. And whatever aspect of nature you connect with, when we connect with their death and rebirth, and when we're going through our own cycles of that, we can feel less alone. And this one blew me away because when I was doing research for this episode, I did not know this, but this actually impacts your physical health. Being with trees impacts your physical health, because what I discovered was being with a tree will help boost your physical body's immunity. Little did I know that trees emit a natural compound, and it's called phytonicides. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Phytonicides, that it kills off bad cells within us and improves our immunity. I mean, it's crazy talk, but it's true. And when I found this, I'm like, okay, I just love trees even more. And I hope this encourages you to also find a power tree, befriend a tree, and create this connection, because it will entice you to the magic found in nature and silence. Not to mention how nature and silence activates the parasympathetic system, which lowers your blood pressure, your heart rate, and allows you to relax. And we all need that relaxed state during these times of increased activity. And then clearly, this is boosting your emotional health and well being, because your prefrontal cortex is going to be less activated. The prefrontal cortex is that part of our brain that's always trying to figure things out. And being in nature, creating space for silence, breaks the cycles of rumination that our brain can become fixated upon, that our brain turns into something that we turn to. It becomes a habit to ruminate. And we're starting to break that cycle when we create silence, when we create time in nature. And that reduction in rumination is going to reduce anxiety and depression. Not to mention that when we're in nature, we are stimulated by awe, by beauty, and allows us to be more in the present moment. So rather than focus what's left on the Christmas list or what's left at this time of year to finish up with at work, you feel more of life and its expansiveness and its possibilities that it offers. So as I shared, I can completely fall into piling way too much on, finishing up the year with work and stuff. And I love my work, and with Christmas lists and things that I love and enjoy doing for Christmas, but it can become more overwhelming. It can become taxing to us, right? So how do we balance this? We take time for ourselves. And what I found is being on this journey is it requires us to be more courageous. It requires us to go outside the norm and to take time for ourselves, to be present, to be with nature. And so to add on to my morning ritual and my nightly ritual, there's a midday remembrance. And again, this can be 5 minutes. This can be an hour. But the importance for me is the both and of my humanness and divine. Because when I get going in the day, sometimes I can really get going and I'm like, okay, I'm going to conquer this and do this and finish that. And it's to remind me midday that as much as my ego loves to accomplish things on the to-do list, that I am more than my to-do list. I'm more than making Christmas special or doing all these things that I think will make Christmas special. I am spirit that needs to be refueled. And maybe I need more fuel than others, and that's okay. So I'm going to take the time to meditate, to say an extra prayer, to be in silence with a fire, to go to my power tree, and to remember the oneness that I have with the all, with the divine, with love, so I can remember the love within me. And this is my gentle, loving reminder that this is not just woo woo, that this is not just for your soul. This is for all aspects of you: mind, body, spirit, and emotion. And it's the greatest gift that not only you will be giving yourself, but you will be giving others. Because what I have found is that in doing this small remembrance, giving myself the greatest gift of time, I am more present, I'm more relaxed, and I'm more playful. I'm more fun. I can have the joy in my essence and my being that I desire to be. That's a part of the value of why I'm doing all this and why I'm here, and to reflect that onto others, and they help them to remember that they can play, that they can have fun despite all that's going on, despite some of the pain and challenges and suffering that we have, that there's still fun to be had. There's still playfulness within us. And sometimes that can be harder than others, but I hope that this is an opportunity and an invitation to give yourself some time in nature, some time for silence, to remember with awe the spirit and essence that you are, to remember everything that you have overcome in life. And here you are, still remembering the beauty of life and finding gratitude in these small moments. And in doing that, your heart and your love becomes more and more expansive. During this time of darkness, it's calling us to the fireplace, to go within, to the candle lit by a journal, to hugging a tree and saying, remember your truth, which is that you are a part of the divine. So until next time, know that there is nothing to fix, nothing to prove, just to remember, and remember that you are the love that you seek. I love you. I am so glad that we are connected, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, take care.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.